You know, you're real
I told you not to open your mouth until I finish.
Oh, I don't take orders from you, so you don't get to tell me not to open my mouth.
You were the sourest.
She was saying about me online. She said that I pay for bots to put mean messages on her Instagram. People are mean to you because you're a nasty person.
To me, it's a red flag.
Look at you. ¿Tú engañaste a tu esposa?
Sí, está bien. Para mí, tú estás en esto es por plata.
He sits there and says, the only reason I'm here is because of David. Like, you should have said, the only reason I'm here is because of David and Jessica. Like, I want to be here for my wife.
That's her to, that's for her to
That's
get
what I'm
mad
saying.
at
She
him.
doesn't.
Well, the person that I originally fell in love with isn't next to me anymore.
But this scares me, okay? I'm nervous as right now.
This is the thing you're crying about right now? How are you a victim?
Was that the WWE or was it a 90-Day Fiancé tell-all?
I have no problem with you until you interrupt everybody.
Something.
Here's the thing. If you put your finger in my face again, enough. Put your finger down. Put your finger down.
I mean, I was shocked because Shekinah and Sarper are, you know, the new 90-Day Fiancé golden couple. However, when you've thrown as many stones as you have, Shekinah, when you have gone to every tell-all thinking that you are above it, it is very interesting to see you deal with your consequences. You throw enough stones, inevitably, they're going to be thrown right back at you. But was it too much? Was she blindsided by production? Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss 90-Day Fiancé, the tell-all part 2, the final one, thankfully. It was so chaotic. We have so much to cover. You guys, if you see my shirt flying, I have my fan practically on top of me. It is so hot. I have my handy dandy mirror and blending sponge because I am just glistening up in your screen, okay? It is humid up in here, but the heat that we experienced at the tell-all was insane. Before we get into it, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new here. And y'all, we dive back in to the drama with the plastics, aka Amani and Shekinah. And what I'm finding is that Amani can't decide whether she hates or loves Shekinah. She wants to be under her skin. It's giving obsessive. I don't like Shekinah, but anyone with eyes can see that Amani came with an agenda. Okay, when we jump back in, they're still fighting about the whole, you know, Shekinah texting Amani, hey, is Annie trans? Which, by the way, I don't care if you think that someone looks more masculine or whatever. There are plenty of like cisgendered people that have masculine features. I think that that question is rude. If Amani is not your friend, like you are making very clear, I think that it is an unhinged question to ask anyone. Also unhinged to think that she wouldn't tell her partner that you asked that about her. And so instead of apologizing and being like, you know what, I shouldn't have asked that. I thought that we were, you know, building something and I read that wrong. Instead of doing that is buckling down that Amani is disrespectful for telling Ani and for putting it on blast. And she's there being like, oh, you're so offended by a question. Like, girl, that question was off the wall. And Alliya then takes the time to like educate people, but she doesn't double down that Shekinah was disrespectful. And I think she was never going to do that. If you guys pay attention on Instagram, Alliya, Shekinah, Sarper, and Shawn, they're like a foursome. They're very close. I knew that she wasn't gonna dig at Shekinah, but Shekinah, that was wrong. Anyway, they put that drama aside to focus in on the throuple, and honey, we knew that it was a shit show, but damn, is it a shit show. And I feel like Amani always wants to be like, I want the betterment of this relationship, but then also like drags Ani and pretends that she isn't aware that she's dragging it. And I will expand on that as we get through this. But there were a lot of things in this that I'm like, don't pretend like you don't know what this is. Okay, let me just get into it, okay? They bring out the Throuple's friend, Eric. If you guys recall, Eric was introduced when they were like, hey, we want to get divorced to marry Ani. And he's like, I just got out of a throuple and it did not work. So I really don't recommend you dismantling your family for this. And he also digs into the fact that, I can already see the issues from a mile away. Amani and Ani are not connecting one-on-one. To which Amani says something sly like, I've just been working so much, but you know what? I'll fly down so that we can bang. And it's like, if you have to talk about it like it's a chore, is it even worth it? Then they go into all of the obscenities Is that how you say that word? Obscenities? All of the trash comments that Amani made about Ani. They play back the scene where she's like, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. They play back the scenes where she's like, you don't respect yourself. Even at my lowest, I didn't go out and strip. Just craziness because you met this lady at the strip club. Come on, like why dog on her for the same things that you were praising her for? You know what I mean? It's just so ill. And everyone is disgusted watching this. And Amini's like, I'm shaking watching this. It was just such a hard moment. Girl, you were not the victim in this. Those nasty words came out of your mouth. And I love that Greg was like, the issue wasn't just that you said it. It's that you said it multiple times. And Shekinah's like, yeah, I mean, if she said it, it's because she means it. They just can't help themselves. They insert themselves in each other's segments, you know? But this is where things take a turn, where the shift derails from the fact that Amani is abusive. It goes into this whole segment of Ani is a gold digger. Ani is with them for money. And here's the thing. I've always said, I think that this is a business arrangement. Amani went into this promising, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, I'm going to give you this if you come into my relationship. And so I'm not going to dog on Ani for making sure that Amani holds on to that promise. Is it my ideal relationship? No, it probably isn't yours, you know? But that is their arrangement. And Amani says it. She's like, yeah, I told her. She says it twice in the segment. In the first time, she's like, yeah, I told her, and I think Ani says, she told me not to work so that I can spend all this time with them while I need my bills paid. So that's why Ani flipped when she saw that Amani's payment had canceled, because she's like, you said that you made it in front of me and then it's canceled. You're leaving now. I need to pay rent. Like, I wasted all this time when I could have been making money.
Did you give any promises to her that I will give you that amount of money every month? I will pay your rent?
Oh, I promised minimum to pay her rent, and I still do that till this day. She knows I'm a jealous person. I don't want her to go work. So I'm like, okay, stay then. I'll give you the money instead of you working.
And this happens every single tell-all, y'all. Even if the American is the most trash ever, they always go at the foreigner. And I just don't appreciate that we're not zeroing in on the abuse of power. Amini's kink is providing. She holds money over Matt's head. She holds it over Ani's head. So she's not a victim of this. She literally uses this as a flex in her relationship. But then in front of everyone, because she was in the hot seat because of her mouth, she's like, yeah, you know, I'm afraid to tell Ani no because she might leave me. Hell yeah, she should leave you. Can you imagine dealing with that mouth for free? Hell no. Part of the arrangement is that you pay up. Again, I'm not trying to glamorize this kind of relationship. I'm just saying that those are the terms and agreements. You can't trash her and not pay up. If Ani wants to handle that while also getting her bills paid, that's her business. But you can't fail on that agreement and then run her through the ground with your mouth. That's not cool. And I love it. I was dying. When Juan opened his mouth to be like, yeah, you know, I think that she's in it for money. And Ani's like, you literally cheated on your wife. I don't understand why you're inserting yourself in my business. I make more money than you and your little cruises. I know what they make in the cruises. And you could see that he turned red. Because she was like, this has nothing to do with you. And of course, everyone was like going in that she's a gold digger. And the questions that Shawn was asking was like pointing to gold digging. And it's like, Ani wants to work. And Amani said it. She's like, yeah, I don't want her to dance. I get jealous, I get possessive, so I'll pay up. And they were all like shooketh when Amani was like, Ani doesn't dance. And Ani's like, hell yeah, I dance. Because Amani can withhold money the minute she's upset. Ani can't have her livelihood, her family's livelihood, her children's livelihood be dependent on Amani's mood swings. So hell yeah, she should work. And if Amani wants to give her gifts, then so be it. That is their relationship. I didn't like the way that conversation shifted. It's just so typical of 90 Day. And just to end up their segment, Amani and Matt tell us that they are working with a divorce lawyer. And I don't know, do you guys think that they're going to go through with it? Because I really don't think so. I think that they're going to milk the show as much as they can, but they're not going to go through with it. You let me know in the comments, okay? But then they go on break. And Amani decides to go to Sarper and Shekinah. And she starts throwing to Sarper all of these compliments. Well, first of all, she goes up to them like, let me just say something first. Like, they're both in front of her and she's just talking to Sarper. And I think she says something like, it was so nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And Shekinah was like, watch out, because she said the same thing to me. And Amani tells Shekinah to shut her effing mouth. And Shekinah's like, I do not have to listen to you. Starts throwing digs like, oh, I just don't know how you deal with Shekinah. And so Shekinah's like, I don't need to be here, actually. And she goes to her green room and she starts crying. I heard that they filmed the tell-all for like hours and hours on end. And I think a few things are happening, right? I think that she's mortified that the trans question came out. And she should be mortified about that, in my opinion. I feel like you just don't go around asking stupid shit like that. But also, I think that even if you're a cold-hearted person like Shekinah, or even if you claim to not care about what other people think, if you have to sit in a room for hours with someone throwing low jabs at you, some of them hits are gonna get through, because it's like, can I get a break? And Amani is fixated on Shekinah. It's a little obsessive to me. Like, she just can't help to bring Shekinah into every topic. She can't help but like continue to put herself in front of them, to continue to like try to have conversations. Just like leave them alone. If you don't like someone, have distance. But I think that she realizes these are the golden couple. Even if I hate them, I need to be in front of their face because I need the camera time. Am I reading too much into it? It feels thirsty. Speaking of thirsty. And while Shekinah is crying in her green room, Amani is still talking to Sarper. And Sarper's like, looking down, you can tell that Sarper is just thinking to himself, this is women on women crime. I don't need to insert myself. But then he goes to Shekinah and you can hear her be like, you just stood there. You didn't defend me. I'm used to being with protectors. And of course, she's now digging at his masculinity. And all of these people are just so rotten. Like, the only thing that man did wrong was stay there. I don't think that he should have fought Amani. I don't think that he should have added to the noise. He should have just been like, I actually don't care what you have to say, and leave. But because he stood there, again, because of the cameras, Shekinah's pissed. So they go back to the set. Shawn obviously is like, what happened backstage? Shekinah recounts everything, and she turns her attention to Sarper, like, you didn't defend me, you just stood there. And he's like, that's not my business. And also, and it honestly just doesn't make sense how we got here. But I think, in the beginning of the tell-all, she was like, yeah, he didn't get me a wedding ring, like, blah, 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 blah. So he's like, I keep my promises. And he brings out this huge ring to be like, here, shut up. And that's it. All of a sudden, they're fine. The plastics are happy again. Then they cut to break weirdly. Why is Amani again in Shekinah's face? Like, can I see the ring? What's wrong with you? Anyway, we get back and it is the Juan&Jessica segment. They were the most boring throughout the season. I think that the most interesting to me, well, I think interesting is a generous word. I think the plot line here was Jessica's friend Megan being a little too invested in their relationship. And also the whole cruise line thing. And we do get into that. So as you know, they live in Wyoming. He is miserable. He has his green card, but he doesn't have a set job. He does delivery stuff. And the way that he talks about it is just like doom and gloom. He tells us that he's been struggling finding a steady job and it's affecting his finances in the big picture of things. With the cruise line, he was able to fund construction work in Colombia. He invested in real estate, and now he finds himself deeply in debt. And Jessica has offered to help him out, but he's super independent and won't take it. He has a green card. Why isn't more moving? Why isn't he accepting more jobs? I honestly think he's just waiting out the time until Jessica finally just gives in and is like, go to the cruise. They bring out Daniele. At first I was like, why did they bring out Daniele for this segment? But then I'm like, oh yeah, they did Love in Paradise. And also, Johan, Danielle's estranged husband, worked at a resort and he cheated plenty. And so she's like, yeah, when you work in that business, you have to be charming. It's very easy to like meet people and have temptation. And she says like, yeah, their relationship reminds me so much of mine. And I don't see that. I don't see that. Then again, I don't know these people. But I think that even though he's Mr. Eeyore, I feel like Huang knows that he needs to be like present in his family. Meanwhile, Johan dips whenever he wants to. Before Danielle's appearance here, her and Johan had broken up. She had caught him cheating so many times. She had put him on blast on all these Facebook groups. He ain't shit. And she would go on live all the time about him. And then one trip she was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the Dominican Republic and I'm gonna sign the divorce papers. Next thing we know, they're back together. And in this tell-all, she's like, yeah, we're back together, we're working it out. In real life, y'all, she went on live letting us know that he left again. So that's that. But basically, these two are like, yeah, if he can't get a job, like, the cruise line is the last, the last resort. But really, we really don't want to look at that because those contracts get him far away for like 6 to 8 months. And he has a little boy. And he's also helping her raise her kids. So it's just difficult. But you can tell that that's like the cloud over their relationship still. And so then Danielle is like, why don't you guys just move? I mean, if he's unhappy in Wyoming and you can get jobs elsewhere, why not just move? And Jessica's like, and in that moment I was like, Huang resents Jessica because he's like, we have to make sacrifices. And thus far, he has been the only one making sacrifices. He sacrificed his home, he sacrificed his career, and she is comfortable in Wyoming. But adding the added layer that like she can't just up and leave. She's co-parenting her older boys with their father who lives like a short walk away from her. So it's difficult. It's one of those things that you're gonna have to compromise in different ways. I don't think she can relocate from Wyoming right now. And that is something that he knew before he came, But I can see the resentment in him and he's like fighting it for David. But anyway, the juicy part of their entire storyline was the Megan of it all. I think Poe calls Megan and Jessica scissor sisters, and I crack up because that's the vibe that it gives, okay? They bring out Megan, and so Shawn is like, you said that you would ruin his life if he cheated, and she was like, yeah, I meant it. And Huang is like, if anybody's gonna ruin my life, it should be the person that I'm actually with. Get out. You're not in this. And she tells him to get out. Like, she was here first. Toxic. All of this is toxic. And I'm so glad that they asked Jessica if she likes when Megan reacts like this because she's often silent. She lets Megan talk to Huang in any kind of way. She insists on bringing Huang to situations where it's hostile. And I just don't find that funny. And she's the whole time like watching like it's a show. This is his real life. This is your real life. This is a man that you've chosen. This is a man that you've forgiven. To let your friend drag him like that is disrespectful. It's just super weird energy, and I love that everyone was like, yeah, you were here crying like y'all are in a throuple. Like, that's weird. They also touch on the whole job situation again because of course, they're gonna be like, oh, the man, he's not working, blah, blah, blah. To which Megan's like, my husband and I have referred him to like 50 jobs. So yeah, like he's passed up on 50 jobs. He just doesn't like them. To which Jessica's like, he's gotten maybe 5 offers that he has not liked. Which is to me still a lot. It's not the exaggerated amount that Megan was trying to pull. But sir, if you are trying to provide, if you just got here, take any job. Just hit the ground running, get something in your resume in America, and then leave when you find something better. But to do nothing and then complain about doing nothing. And again, they touch on the fact that he's unhappy in Wyoming, and Danielle again is like, why don't y'all move? And he's like, I'm here because of David, and that's a priority. And of course, Megan starts picking apart the fact that he didn't say that he's here for Jessica. How do I say this? I don't want to say that Jessica trapped him with a baby because he knew what he was doing when he was doing the do. It takes 2 to get pregnant. I have always said that I do think he's only in Wyoming because of his baby. If he was just with Jessica and they didn't have a baby and she wanted him to quit the cruise life, he wouldn't have. And I'm sorry, but like that is the reality. And I think Jessica knows that deep down as well. Anyway, they let Megan go before they let Danielle go. I don't know if y'all have been paying attention on the socials for years, but Shekinah and Danielle hate each other. And I mean hate. They both throw digs at each other, subliminals and like responses and comments and stories for years now. And I think it came to a head once when there was like an overlap in like their tell-all. And Shawn, asks for more details on that. And Danielle claims that it all started because Shekinah thought that Danielle was trying to hit on Sarper. And then Danielle is like, I don't know, maybe in one of those interviews that she pays for, but I saw her, throwing digs at me in all of these interviews. And Shekinah was offended, like, I don't pay for interviews. What are you even talking about, you liar? And there's no resolution, okay? Shawn just brought it up to be messy, right? They go to the break. Mahdi decides to walk all the way to Shekinah to be like, wow, Shekinah, you have so many haters. You don't even know the things that Shekinah has said. Shekinah may be the golden princess right now, but she is one of the most hated for a reason. And it's not like she's sat there the whole time and is silent when people say things. She throws nasty stuff back. But there was a time where Shekinah initiated the nasty comments. I think that what goes around comes around. Again, is it nice? No. But I don't think that this is bullying per se, at least not yet. I think what's also interesting here is that Danielle came to the tell-all, but Shawn asked Danielle about the beef. And that is why Danielle started talking about Shekinah. Before that moment, as we saw, Danielle didn't address Shekinah at all. When Danielle came in, we did see Shekinah roll her eyes, which is fine. But there was no conversation until Shawn brought it up. And then they have that yelling match, okay? So, Mahdi has that moment. Shekinah has that moment. We see Danielle in the break room. I think talking to Amani, Matt. I think Aaliyah's there. There's a few other people there. Amini's like, an enemy of my enemy is my friend. So she's like, I love your energy. You just tell it how it is. Of course, kissing Danielle's ass. And y'all, Mahdi wants to come in hot, okay? He wants to go step up to Danielle, stand up for Shekinah. And I need him to keep that energy for his own wife, who walks all over him. This is very weird energy that's coming from him when it has nothing to do with him, okay? And also, Shekinah's a mean girl. Shekinah has been nasty to people. People aren't just picking at her because she has a pretty face. Shekinah has said some dirt about people, and that is why many people don't like her. Now, I think what's alarming maybe is that usually, she has one op per season. I think that she's at a tell-all where a lot of people have animosity towards her, and she's gained those ops, but it doesn't change the fact that it is heavy energy, having so many people that don't like you in one space. That energy, you can feel it. So I do feel bad for her in that regard. There's something coming at her in every direction. But Mahdi is here. He's put his Captain Save-A-Ho cape, and he goes up to Danielle, and he's like, why are you lying? Why did you say that she pays for interviews? And she's like, I said that maybe she pays for it. I don't know. And he's like, no, you said that she pays for interviews, and that's a lie. And Danielle's like, let me educate you because I've been in the business and you clearly have no idea. Again, I don't like Danielle either. She's another mean girl. I think that she's another situation where her and Shekinah are very similar and they feel like there could only be one top dog. I think that that's the same thing that's happening with Amani. They all want to be top boss and they hate each other because they're all the same. I just want to be clear, okay? Mahdi is coming at Danielle with all of this energy. So Matt is the only man in that section and he's like, whoa. And he starts speaking up and Mahdi comes at him like, mind your business. But Matt is like, no, I'm not going to let you go up to a woman towering over her with this attitude. I'm going to step in for her, which is probably the first time that Matt did something right. But everyone's basically like, Mahdi, you don't even know what's going on. You don't even know how nasty she's been. And then Sarper comes out the woodwork and he's like, yeah, Shekinah is a bitch, but she's good. She's good deep down. Okay, shut up. That's not helping your wife. And again, Danielle is making points, but she's no better than Shekinah, okay? Shekinah comes out the woodworks crying. Like, I'm shaking right now. Like, no one deserves to get thrown jabs from every single angle. But I hope that this is a moment of reflection for Shekinah. But again, I think that they've had a full day of this, and she's just like, I cannot handle another fight. And so Mahdi now is having a yelling match with Daniele. Amani comes in, Matt comes in, then Stevie wants to get in and fight at Amani because she feels like Amani keeps interrupting, but it's like actually Mahdi interrupted their conversation. He inserted himself, like, what is happening? And Mahdi is just getting a little too comfortable pointing the finger at Daniele. So she gets up and is like, you have one good time to put your finger in my face again. And she's in his face like, put that finger down. Like, don't point it at me. They got separated. Mahdi is still pointing the finger at Daniele. Like, I wanted someone to go like this to him. Like, hello. And he was just like, you need to apologize. You can't lie on people like that. You don't even, like, I honestly don't know if Shekinah pays for interviews. I know that is a common thing in California to pay for paparazzi, to pay for interviews, to pay for, like, media coverage. But I never assumed that Shekinah paid for it because I feel like the network pays for it for PR. But I don't know. I know for sure that Mahdi doesn't know. So I just think that it was very uncalled for him to like have this hostility for someone that you don't even know. This is the first time that you're meeting. It was a circus. The entire time, Alliya was a mood. She was eating her food, watching the show. It was a circus. Ultimately, Shekinah's like, get that bitch out or I'm leaving the building. Of course, Danielle was already on her way out. It's just theatrical at this point. We go back to set. It is just, everyone has to pretend that they're composed, like they weren't just fighting backstage. It's Mark and Mina's turn. So we do learn Mark is not getting rid of that house in New Hampshire. Of course he's not. He has this beautiful place for his plane. It's his forever home, but they do have a place in Boston and they're loving it there. Mina's loving it there and they're considering going back to France. Maybe, who knows? And I love that he's being so chill about it because he has money. He can do whatever he wants. And she's happy. They're happy. Love that for them. I had never heard this rumor, but apparently on the interwebs, people found out that Mina used to dance 8 years ago. And I love that she doesn't have any shame about it. And she shouldn't. She's like, yeah, I used to dance at a club 8 years ago. I was a single mom. I had to feed my kid. But she did not meet Mark there. And I love that he was like, you know, loving the story. He was like, no judgment. And her stage name was Divine, which I think is fitting. Now, the issue for them, Avi, was family, specifically the tiffs that Mina would have with his daughter, Jordan. They bring out Miss Muppet. Miss Muppet looks amazing today, I will say, even though she gets on my nerves. That dress looked amazing. She was matching Mina. They play back her very bold opinions about Mina's reproductive choices. And they play back the scene where Mina first called her a snake. And part of me loves that they played it because they showed Mark defending his daughter. I think that Jordan needed to see that. But at the same time, I don't think that it played enough of the overstep that Jordan was making. You know what I mean? Like, again, it's making the foreigner look worse, even though I feel like they were both bad in this. And overall, you can tell that they are in a better place because Jordan and Mina didn't dog each other at this tell-all, which I'm like, okay, this is a real family. I'm so happy to know that they are in a better place. Jordan apologizes for the overstep. Mark takes accountability because he started this drama. He should have never shared what they each said to him in the safety of their relationships. But I'm very proud of Jordan of being like, yeah, like it would be weird to be pregnant at the same time as my, you know, stepmom. But I'm sorry that I made it seem like you guys needed my approval to do things. And then Mark tries to make a joke that Mina's currently pregnant. And again, it falls so flat. Jordan did not laugh. No one laughed. It was definitely a dad joke moment. And then they bring up Clayton. Mina hasn't seen Clayton in 11 months. I cannot. And she starts crying because she's like, he's a very mature kid, But at the end of the day, he's a kid, and that's hard. But there is, a light at the end of the tunnel. She just got her green card like a week ago at the time of this filming. So she said that the plan is to go to France in a few weeks and go see him. And Mark says, and the goal is for us to come back with Clayton. I am hoping that one of these days, Mina just drops a pic with Maria and Clayton, just frolicking in Boston. That would make my day. I really just want that baby to be with his mama. That's the end of their segment. Then they have a break, y'all, where they have Sarper doing stand-up. That man, he's not funny. Like, he's not funny haha to me. He's funny like in conversation. I found his stand-up so sexist. He kept like focusing on the throuple. It was just uncomfortable. I didn't care for it. Now they go to Shawn&Alliya segment. And when I tell you that the secondhand cringe that I had the entire time, first of all, they're like, oh yeah, it's time for Shawn&Alliya segment. Shawn gets up and I'm like, is he about to have a panic attack? He's like, I can't do this. I just can't. And he gets up. Y'all, he went to fix Mahdi's hair because I guess there was like a hair sticking up that was out of place. And Shawn just couldn't stand it. Because, he's the hairdresser for the stars. Anyways, they ask Aliyah how she's adjusting to life, in California. And she's living a comfortable life. So that part is amazing. However, she's like, the marriage, it's not how I envisioned it. It's not the dream that I thought it would be. And they ask her, why? How come? As if we didn't already know. And in the words of Shawn is like, the one thing that's constant in our relationship is change. Then they bring out Kenny and Armando for their segment, for their commentary. Then they bring out Jackie. Jackie is dressed like she's about to run errands. I don't think she got the memo. Jackie hates Shawn's guts, and Shawn hates Jackie's guts. And you can feel that. So Shawn Roberts asks Jackie her input on their relationship, specifically on Aliyah. And Jackie was friends with Douglas. And she's like, Douglas was shy. He was timid. He wasn't outspoken. Aliyah's comfortable in her skin. She's funny. She's this, she's that. Basically, Aliyah is who she was always meant to be. And Sarper's like, yeah, I love that for Aliyah. She deserves to, be herself. But Shawn didn't sign up for that. And Shawn, of course, agrees. And Sarper continues. He's like, there may be love here, but with such a change, I don't think that I would have gone through with the K-1 visa. And that is what I've always said. Because I feel like their entire relationship is like some sort of like punishment. Like there's so much resentment. And we will discuss more as we go into it. But it's a nightmare situation, honestly. And this is where the nightmare begins, okay? So they get married. And Shawn goes on a honeymoon without Aliyah. He first denies this. He says, no, it wasn't a honeymoon. And Jackie's like, you went to Florida, then the Dominican Republic with a friend. Because remember, they're in an open relationship. And Aliyah's like, and you were gone for a month. Can you imagine? You just got married. Your husband is giving you the silent treatment because you were late to your wedding. But he still married you. He gives you the silent treatment. He's so mad at you. He can't look at you. So he goes and gets piped down for a month in the Dominican Republic. Can you imagine? He claims he just had to go because he was still so irate at what happened at the wedding. Sir, I gave him grace for being upset at the wedding. If he wanted to be upset a week after the wedding, sure. But you went through with it. You punishing her months later is ill for me. Again, I'm not taking away from the fact that he was really scared that his mother was injured. The longer that they had to wait, the longer effects she would have on her hip. All of those things, I understand it. But his mother is older. The healing was always going to be long. Luckily, everything came out okay. It was just going to take her a minute. Your mother decided that she didn't want to go to the hospital right away. You pleaded. She said she did not want to. Aliyah was getting ready at the venue. He could have marched his ass up there and be like, if you don't get down here right now. Again, I think that Aliyah still needs to take responsibility for it. And I don't think that she fully is. and I've dragged her for that. I feel like so many things went wrong that day, and that is why they call weddings like productions, because there are so many moving parts and everything needs to be in harmony, and so much wasn't from the top of the day. If it was so big that you knew that you were never gonna get over it, then you shouldn't have gone through the marriage. But to go through with it, hold this deep grudge, that doesn't make it okay. And again, I feel like he let out steam at that reception. She was humiliated with the way that he was talking. The guests were uncomfortable. So you're telling me after you let out that venom that same day, you needed months? And I say months because he's at this couch being like, yeah, I'm still not over it. What are we doing here? The only thing that I agreed with Shawn in this segment was when he directed his attention at Jackie. He was like, what were you doing? Your job was literally to hold her accountable, to keep her on time. What were you there for? And Aliyah tries to take off, heat from Jackie being like, oh, like there's nothing that she could have done, blah, blah, blah. This was just bad on all parts. And again, I'm not keeping my foot off of Shawn because he had the right to be mad that day. But for him to say that he's still holding a grudge months after is childish to me. At his big ass age, it is childish. It is ridiculous. To love someone is to be able to forgive. And if you can't forgive, you could have left her ass at the altar. Like, this is, like, what are we doing? So it's safe to say they are very unhappily married. And of course, they are in an open relationship, and that is not going to change because they are not intimate. They've been intimate like twice since they've been married. And with what they've said, Aliyah has been the one that has initiated that. She doesn't feel attractive, and she wants that affirmation from him. Like, he can't give that to her. Because as she's transitioning and, trying to find herself in her body, he's also trying to figure out what he's okay with. And what he says is he doesn't know what the finish line is for her. And I think the unspoken part is he doesn't know if she gets gender reassignment surgery, if that's going to be okay with him. And Kenny calls it out. He's like, I don't think you love her enough to stay with her through that. And again, they ask him if he's sexually attracted to Aliyah, and he doesn't say yes or no. He just says, I don't know where we're going here. Which is not what anyone would want to hear. And I just have this feeling that Shawn is with Aliyah because he feels like this savior complex, like he can help her, he can make her dreams come true. But then at the same time, I feel like while he plays this savior role, he's also like punishing her for changing. But you are a consenting individual. You're paying for these changes. You're staying with her through it. Like, you also need to take responsibility that, like, she's not forcing you to hold her hand through this journey. You are going along with it. And it's okay if he doesn't want to be a part of it. But don't be a part of it and then punish her for it. Do you guys understand what I mean? Like, that's my problem with Shawn. He has the right to choose. And he's choosing and then resenting her as he does it. And I'm not okay with that. And one minute he says that the person that he initially fell in love with isn't on the couch anymore. But then at the same time, he's like, I do love Aliyah. And like, I want to, live my life with her. And then he like apologizes-ish for being a dick on their wedding day. But I'm like, it took you months to apologize for this. And the reason he softened up is because Aliyah like wrote this letter that she wrote for him in which she says like, I'll love you in every version of myself, which I thought was obvious, but I think that softened his heart, and that's where he apologized about the wedding. But she's just bawling next to him, and I want her to be happy in whatever that looks like. I think Aliyah's like 26? She's very young. I just want her to find herself and to feel grounded and to be able to speak up for herself in whatever relationship that is. And then that's it for their segment. The final part of it is just everyone, leaving. And y'all, Amini's thirsty ass keeps dragging Matt with her to be in everyone's faces. She goes to Shekinah, and Shekinah like ignores her completely. So Harper's like, they just like leave her alone. She goes up to Mahdi and Stevie, and Stevie's like, I don't really care to talk to you or Matt. And she just keeps going up to couple after couple. And I'm like, No one likes you. You've made that so. Why do you want to insert yourself like nothing happened? Like y'all are besties. Like it was just a day on the job. It's so weird. And I have a feeling that they're going to bring him back, y'all. I do. That was it for the tell-all. That's it for the season. Insane. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. I feel like so much happened. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, which is Hunt for Love. Bye.